What is up, everybody? I'm No Lex Given, back with some more Hearthstone Battlegrounds, and today I just wanted to go over a few games that I played last night. Decided to just play a few games without doing commentary, just chilling out, listening to some music while I was battling, and they went decently well. I played 5 games, and I never got 5th place or lower in them. And we're gonna take a look at one game that I think was like the most fun for the majority of this video, but I'm just gonna run through a few of these games here first. So played Togwaggle. Not super sure how to utilize the perfect crime. It's very cool, but you're like waiting a very long time till you use it, and then you are not really making that great use out of it by the time you are able to do so. I think that I should have used it on, I guess it's the 4th turn where you have 6 gold. I should have sold a minion that I had and then tapped it for 7. And I think it would have been good then as like an early game play, but later on to the game, you're just like, okay, I'll take it for like basically just 5 gold every 10 turns, which isn't really that exciting all in all. And of course, like, you can sometimes use some of the characters that you're picking up. Then I played Bran. 2nd place, kind of surprising here. I picked up an early Amalgam, actually got a really late Bran, and wound up just trying to go full scam, wasn't able to fully overcome the crazy board that my opponents had, so this is where we got. But, I mean, not too terrible. There's a lot of scam here. The Baskill, I believe, had the 2/7 Murloc with Venomous and just another Selfless Cathar, which I think this is called Selfless Cathar, which didn't actually do anything. Then I got a 3rd place with Pirate Voon. There was, interestingly, a Hogger in the lobby also competing for Pirates against me, but an early Peggy double thanks to Voon was pretty helpful, and also was able to make this triple early on thanks to Voon, and then that probably got me the Peggy. If it did get me the Peggy, it got me something else good, and then some other triple got me the Peggy. But this was a pretty decent performance. And then played a game with AFK, and I got a Prickly Piper and a Moonbacon Jazzer. So 2 ways to make my blood gems a little bit more effective, and then tried to play like a bunch of Divine Shield characters towards the end and moved into a little bit of scam as well. And then one game that I wanted to look at basically in full is this game here with Rafam. So I think that Rafam is a pretty good hero, and I felt like I did just a very good job working with Rafam this game. I got pretty lucky here on the start because I find a Celemental, and that allows me, well, I find 2 Celementals, but that allows me to turn 1. It's a little bit of a risk, but if I just assume that Celemental is probably going to trade with something, I think it trades with most things, really. It's not that big of a risk, but Celemental is going to trade with something, and then I can actually take that something. So I'm just going to use my extra gold here. I lock onto the 2nd Celemental because, and I'm not sure if this is right or not, but on turn 2 with Rafam, I feel like it makes a lot of sense to buy something and use your hero power, get a little bit of an early tempo advantage, and then use your econ-based hero power to really fuel you. If you've got tempo and you've got econ, I talked about this in last week's video, that's setting yourself up for success. And then I find a Shell Collector, which actually just lets me level up and then use the gold coin to still take that. So I'm curbing the tempo plan a little bit, just in favor of power, because I already felt like I had enough power. I succeeded on killing my opponent's character in that last fight, so felt like this was going to be good enough. And then I'm able to steal a Risen Rider, which is a pretty common thing to steal. I think that's probably the most common thing, just because it's the it's a good character, and it's an early taunt character, so I think you're very likely to just steal that. And then on this is turn 3, I think the play is to just take that, maybe roll once, and then buy something that you really like when you're playing as Rafam, because I think you just always want to be using the hero power in the early turns whenever you can, and finding another Elemental is fine, but I think I'd just take a 3/3 here. I think that that's just a little bit better, so we'll grab that. We'll grab another Risen Rider from this opponent. Like I said, you get to steal a lot of Risen Riders as Rafam, and we're doing good. We're winning all of these fights. Like, we're not even just tying, we're winning. So we're building Econ, we're building Tempo, and we're building Power. Econ and Tempo are kind of similar in the early game. Like, obviously, Shell Collector, that is Econ and not Tempo. And then you look at something like, I don't know, this rat thing right here. That's Tempo, not Econ. But when your Econ is to just have more things, that's also just giving you Tempo straight up. So be able to use that Tempo to just pursue more levels here, and still tapping on my hero power every turn. This turn I'm going to steal a Scallywag. We'll still walk away with a win. That's pretty good. I'm going to start to jump ahead a little bit more. The early mid-game, that's like the very early game. Now we're in like the early game portion of it, and I don't really remember this part exactly. I guess Jeweled Macaw plus Frog could have been a direction to go in, but I just decided to level up again. Okay, yeah, that's fair. I like that. Yeah, I still have a bunch of characters. I'm still having enough gold to take that, sell off the Shell Collector, so let's do that. I'm gonna steal a Sewer Rat here, and I do think we'll lose this fight. Yeah, we'll take a little bit of damage. And then this turn, I have to be like, okay, well, I can't level up here, clearly. I should probably start to add some cards to my board. So I grab a Reanimating Rattler, and then I look for just some other good cards. And I do think that Wildfire Elemental is probably good. So I'm going to sell off the Water Droplet just so that way I have room to field the Wildfire Elemental, and then I'll take that with Rafam and throw in one more roll to finish things off. And don't see anything super crazy. Going to try to level up again when I can, where I can, and also slot in some more beasts potentially, so that way I can continue to get value out of the Reanimating Rattler. Oh, this turn I find the triple for the Risen Riders, and I actually don't find another beast, and I also don't really find, I push another level, selling some things off here. I don't find a great 6, really, at all to build around. I was looking for a cool build around 6 cost card, and instead I'm just going to take Zap for the Wind Fury, just to grab a little more tempo in lieu of anything super powerful here. So I'll throw Zap down, I will throw down the Shell Collector, and then I'll use the gold coin to... oh, that's right. I'm also going to grab the Wildfire Elemental. There is actually an interesting thing here that happens. So I'm now so far ahead in levels over the rest of the lobby that taking that is like kind of whatever. Like, I'd rather just hang on to all of my board at this point than take a random character for my opponent, because I'd have to sell something off to get there. So yeah, this is the one time I don't take that, and it's hard to call this the early game. That's why I guess I forget what happens in that early game portion, because I really just rush past it. I rush to level 5, grab the triple, and I'm already level 6. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm in the late game yet. This is like the mid game, but I'm already level 5, fishing for some level 6 characters, and Zap is really good at taking down my opponent's horse. My opponent not super happy to see this crazy powerful concoction that we've put together here. But this is really sweet. Double Wildfire Elemental are going to be nice as well, and that will be good enough to snag me a little win against the Rat King, the lobby leader. So we hit damage cap on the lobby leader. Pretty impressive turn. And I think that might make me the lobby leader. Not quite. Okay, maybe I'm tied with that monster up at the top. But interestingly, now we're level 5, which means that Elise's golden monkeys can find us level 6 characters. So I do feel like this is a pretty good use of gold. And when I find a second Elise, that's just fantastic. Now I can put 5 rolls into golden monkeys and then have my way with, well, that's a horrible way to say it, but I get a great options looking at a bunch of different level 6 characters. So I'm going to look for some options here this turn. I'd have to fully roll down in order to find a golden monkey. And wait, sorry, what do I actually do this turn? Do I just roll a bunch of times? I must. Yeah, but doesn't that activate this? Huh, what do I do here? Do I buy the bone mare? No, okay. So I just wind up rolling full down, but I guess I'm confused. I thought that would have activated this Elise. Am I one short? No, this should give me 2 golden monkeys. Oh, I take that. Derp, yes. I take that instead of using the last roll. Sorry, I was, a little bit shaky on this turn, but next turn we get to roll twice. Well, roll once by a golden monkey, roll again by another golden monkey, and that's going to let me discover 2 level 6 characters. It's kind of tricky because you don't get to discover both of them at the same time. You kind of have to like make one decision and then you see your options and make the second decision. But I'm going to look for tier 6 characters that I can build around, and Zap was good enough to get me to this point. I'm not going to use him after this. Or, I mean, I could still use him for a little bit after this, but I'm hoping that this one will be the one that gives me some real solid build-around options. That's the goal here, and we'll see how we can do. We are going to just barely lose this combat. It's actually really, really close, and I don't really mind that. I'm still almost at 30, and now I will get to pick up some really good characters on... from the level 6 pool. So if you have any ideas, I guess I should have said this a few seconds ago, but what do you think you'd be looking for here? Well, we actually get to look at 3 different level 6 minions, so you'll have a second more to think about it. But what are good level 6 minions? You can see the types available: elementals, undead, beasts, pirates. So there's a few cool, powerful build-around things that we could potentially be looking for. We already have the Rattler, so that would be cool. Ghast Coiler could be cool with the Rattler. I don't really like Rock, but what I decided that I wanted to go for was Undead. And I'm not like locking myself into this. By the way, tripling the Elise does mean that I get to find both of the monkeys at once, which is like somewhat cool. It's fine. You could kind of go, it's interesting, we didn't wind up going for the taunt thing. But yeah, Undead I think is really good. But you could also go for, what's it called, Walking Fort with golden monkeys. I think I did that once when I first started playing. I'm not sure if it's something that I recommend necessarily. But yeah, there's 2 undead level 3 characters, so I figured I would just go for those and see what we could make happen. I'm going to throw in the Zap, and then I think I try to grab the Bone Mare and just forget to. Oh yeah, what I really should have done is just rolled 3 more times. So wasting 3 gold there is actually a pretty big deal. I did wind up refarming, but if I had just rolled 3 more times, then I'm that much closer to 2 more golden monkeys, which I think would have been a really big pickup for me, because the whole conceit of going into Undead from here is that there's 2 good undeads on level 6 that by themselves synergize to make a comp. So that was kind of just what I was thinking, that we can just roll, find a few more golden monkeys, and then make a comp just with sisters and summoners. And That was more or less the plan that I had thought up here. Would potentially triple the zap and get some power out of it that way. Yeah, I think there's like maybe another universe where I do wind up going into pirates. I thought about pumping up my undead things, but then I realized purchasing something is the equivalent of 3 rolls. I do think that Titus is good enough to pick up, but otherwise purchasing something is the equivalent of 3 rolls, which is like a monkey, basically. You still have to purchase the monkeys as well, but I felt like it was just worth trying to grab as many monkeys as possible so that I'd have as many attempts at sisters and at summoners. So that was the plan. I do think Fleet Admiral could potentially be another strong build around here, and I'm curious if I had seen that first, would I have tried to build around it? I do pick up one here because, like, if I find a second one, that's really cool and really strong. So I was thinking it would be a possibility, and then you'll see there, rather than even using Rafam on this turn, I just sink my extra gold into rolling for Elise to try to find some more sisters. I'm going to play the Titus this turn to get me an additional Eternal Knight off the Summoner, and yeah, we've kind of got a little comp here. I just need to try to find more of each of these things. Maybe I could find another zap. I'm probably going to, next turn, roll down, buy 2 golden monkeys, and then probably sell out of Elise or potentially sell out of zap. But the game is kind of nearing the ending phase. We're in the top 5 at this point. So yeah, at some point I do want to make sure that I'm committing as much power as possible to the board. Now, we're also beating up the lobby. Like, it can't be understated the fact that all of my characters are level 6. So when I beat someone, I beat them hard. And that is definitely hitting everybody for a ton of extra damage. We're not able to take out the Banana Slammer there with our zap, so that part's a little bit unfortunate. Then one of my sisters goes down, but I'm still able to summon a little bit here, which gets me a little bit more stats. But I do think that this one's probably a loss to Banana Slammer. Unfortunately, this lobby leader looks like they got my number, but we're not going to die. They're not hitting us for that much here. I mean, yeah, it's a decent amount. What is this, 18? So we go down to 7. So yeah, but now we're in the top 4, and now I will probably try to consolidate my board to be more powerful rather than rolling. Well, actually, I say that, but now I'm up against the Ghost. Okay, we'll try to be a little bit silly here too. I don't know the name of this card, but I do think it's a really powerful card. Soul Splitter, that's right. And then I also pick up an Eternal Knight. I figured that might work out well. And then I roll, find some golden monkeys in a second. Oh yeah, I also like the King, especially since we already have Titus. So I do think I'm going to try to grab the King in here. And I'm actually just going to leave the golden monkeys for next turn because I purchased a bunch of stuff this turn. So I'm going to get rid of the zap. I don't need to be powerful against the Ghost. So I'm just going to go for like some scaling and stuff like that in the meantime. And I'm thinking we could potentially try to put the Soul Splitter on the Nerubian King. So that could be kind of cool. I roll one more time, get the monkeys. The econ here is like a little bit awkward because I can't do, like, I can't like buy a monkey. I mess up here a little bit, and then I wind up selling off Elise, and it's not super relevant. I maybe could have sold off the Eternal Knight and bought one of the monkeys, so that way I wasn't wasting so much gold. But I didn't know if I would potentially want the Eternal Knight later, or if I wanted to like cycle through it. So I just decided to keep it in my hand, and yeah, I figured it'll like play on a potential end game board, but it does kind of work out for me, kind of calculated, because I steal another Soul Splitter from my opponent, which is really good. Now I'll be able to basically have a fully undead board, or a fully reborn board, I mean. And yeah, that sets me up for some pretty big sisters and just some nice power overall. I'll be able to purchase 2 monkeys to start off this turn, so I'm going to cycle through those, see if I can find any more summoners or any more sisters. but for now, feeling pretty good. And I also get to grab like full value out of my Eternal Knights this turn, as they get to trade off with my opponent's board, so that'll grow me for future combats. So that is fun as well. So let's see what we get in these monkeys. I believe this probably puts me into the top 4, I have to imagine. Yes, it does. And now we'll see what we can fish out with these golden monkeys, and might cut the Nerubian King too. Like, it was nice to have the scaling for a turn, but I don't know how long we can get away with that. Then we find Sister Death Whisper off the first of 3 discoveries, actually. The second one isn't going to give us anything super impressive. I just take Boogie Monster because I realized that the Golden Monkey is a 1-cost character, or a tier 1 character, and then there is a Nerubian Battlecry guy, the little spider in the shop. That's a level 2 character, so I could actually do a little bit of boogieing down here. The Death Swarmer, yeah, it is called Nerubian Death Swarmer. It seemed like it was worth picking up. Boogie Monster trigger, and then just giving all of my undeads +1 attack. So that seemed good. And then, like, I'm not doing this just because of Boogie Monster, believe me. But this 3 is actually kind of okay, and so is this 4. So I'm going to wind up doing a little bit more boogieing here. I've got to figure out exactly the best way to put everything on this board if I want to, like, cut the Titus at some point, but I want to buy the scam cards that are available in this shop. I think that I'm done with the King, like I said, so then I'm just going to get rid of 2 more cards from my hand, which is just going to be the Fleet Admiral and either the Eternal Knight or the Titus. Yeah, I'm going to wind up just tossing the Titus, and then I throw in the Tide Swarmer, and I play the Soul Splitter, which is a 5. So it was kind of funny, was just able to fully boogie down in 1 turn. Probably could have sold off the Boogie Monster and like kept the Titus or something. I locked the shop because it has Leroy in it, though I'm not sure if I actually should have gone for Leroy or not. One of the really cool things with the Soul Splitters as well is they could potentially land on my Venomous Murloc, because that is an undead, so that would give me a little bit more scam potential. I don't think it ever winds up happening in like a single combat throughout this entire game, and maybe that means I could have just played less undead, though the undeads are obviously super synergistic with everything else I got going on. So just wind up rolling with this board. I do think that this is going to be strong enough to grab me a win here. Sister's very big, 58 health, and yeah, it looks like that'll be enough to grab me a win, plus some extra undeads coming out and doing some nice work. So this is cool. Will it be enough to get me a kill, though? That I'm not sure of. I mean, it's possible. I'm level 5, right? And that I've got 2 level 6 cards on the board. Yeah, okay, they take out my other level 6, my 3rd level 6, but this is a kill. Okay, very, very cool. So now I'm potentially even on to the finals. If that guy that beat me up a few turns ago can take out the other player, take out that bald guy there, then yes, we're in the finals. So really sweet one. I do think that the other player's potentially more powerful than me. Oh, by the way, I said that I locked onto Leroy here. And I actually do pick up the Leroy. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I just want to convert the board to more scams because I felt like my opponent was a little bit ahead of me. So I can pick up the Leroy, cut the Boogie Monster. Another thing that I would really, really appreciate, though, is another Venom scale, or whatever that's called. And I'd also kind of like another Eternal Summoner. If I can find an Eternal Summoner, then I can replace the hand summoning thing with something, and then it will guarantee that my Murloc gets reborn. So it's kind of what I was going for here. There is a blast guy as some potential scam too, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be super good against exactly what my opponent's doing. So I'll play it out here and we can see how this one wraps up. But yeah, I thought it was cool. I don't typically play undead. I do think that this is probably like a good opportunity to do so though, with Elise. I'm curious what other comps Elise builds into other than Walking Fort, if you just have access to a bunch of different characters like that. I do think that the Leroy was potentially a little bit awkward as a leadoff, and I potentially also should have like backloaded my scam, because my opponent doesn't start with big characters. They make big characters halfway through the combat. And even these aren't like, super impressive characters that I need to be scamming. I need to scam whatever comes out of that octopus, because there's a chance that that has really scaled up as a few combats have now gone on. So that is what I'm really afraid of. And then of course I want to attack into those banana slammas if I can. I'm able to take out one there. That's pretty good. My opponent is summoning bigger and better things. So it's a little bit spooky. Will I be able to take out the banana slamma before the octopus dies? No, but I was able to take out one of the bananas. Still a pretty large octopus though. So that's going to trade with a few things, but I've got a lot of stuff here too. I think we're actually going to be okay. Yeah, my Eternal Summoner is just really large, and we'll be able to hit my opponent for, what is this, 12, 13 here? Okay, not bad. We hit them for 13, down to 6, and if we can get another combat to go somewhat like that, then yeah, seems pretty awesome. So that is the plan. Maybe I should have grabbed Zap here. It's tough to know exactly what my opponent's smallest characters were, and I wasn't paying like enough attention to know. But then I get to pick up a Soul Splitter triple, so that's fun. That'll consolidate some room on our board and potentially allow room for even more scam potential, like Manted Queen. We could throw that in. That's a little bit more scam. And if we're able to cut the hand here, then our Murloc is guaranteed to get reborn, which is cool. I'm just double checking. Nothing's incidentally a beast to give it undead with, or reborn rather, with the reanimator. I'm just gonna throw the Manted Queen in here and then roll a little bit more and realize there's no more room for scam. And then I try to reorder the board so that my scam comes a little bit later, bringing up what I was bringing up last time, that my opponent actually doesn't have anything scam worthy right now. Then they actually scam me pretty good. They hit in with, I think it's called like Sure Shot or something, and that takes away Reborn just from the Manted, so it's not like a huge deal, but still a little bit annoying. And then double Banana Slamma for my opponent. That's what we have to deal with, and we're not really gonna be able to do so. I don't know what happened, but my opponent's Banana Slammas here have stealth or something, because I'm just never able to attack into them. So basically my opponent is just able to make a huge octopus this combat as we completely fail to attack into these Banana Slammas even once, and they're both around. The octopus has seen a lot of other things grow, and now they've got a 300 power octopus, and I'm out of scam at this point. So a little bit awkward. I think we got a little bit unlucky both on the combat and where my reborns landed, and also that I didn't have enough time to fully reorder the board to my content. But I'm not going to be able to clear that octopus, so I'm going to take lethal, even if I could clear everything else, which I'm not really even able to do that. My opponent just takes me out here, and I just attack into the octopus yet again. So unfortunately, that is the end of this run as I take 12 damage, but I still thought this was a really cool game. I thought that I did a good job with Rafam early on. Definitely still making some mistakes, but I think I'm also doing some powerful stuff. And with that nice little victory, 69 rating points, puts me above 7,600. I didn't want to spoil that, but yeah, this is my current rating after this game. I'm up at above 7,600. So new peak for me. I'm going to play another one in just a moment right now, but wanted to catch you up on some of those games that I played last night, especially that Rafam one, because I thought it was really cool, and I think Rafam is like really, really powerful, and I was basically just using him for econ. So if you're able to use him even more effectively than that, I think that he can be very, very good. But that's going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm No Lux Given. Peace.